I'm absolutely sure that we will go better ahead.
Yes, definitely. In India also, the condition, the things are improving now.
Yeah, I saw, yes. But I really have been concerned because the situation was really wrong, and what impacted me is that, as you know better than me, India is one of the biggest producer of inventor and producer of medicines. So it was twice impacting to me because.
But now the vaccination has picked up a good speed, and because of the size and magnitude of the population, it will take some time. Otherwise, we are doing good, and I'm sure that next 2-3 months we will come back to normalcy. Hope so.
I hope so. I hope so, and maybe will be also the occasion to the opportunity to be in person in India finally.
Yes. Either way, yes, definitely.
I do really hope so. I also finally got my vaccination, total vaccination. So according to the European Union regulation, I also got the passport to move. So finally, I do really hope that we will be fine all. And this is also an optimistic message for all our students and friends and colleagues following us directly now and then after watching the records of the today lecture. So let me see.
Let us start now.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I welcome you all. Professor Dr. Antonieta Elia, ma'am. She is Senior Associate Fellow in Law University of Santiago de Compostela, Spain. And Dr. M.K. Bhandari, CEO, Infinity Law Tech Educational Services, ILTES, Hyderabad. I am glad today to have an opportunity to introduce you both. I welcome you all. Ma'am, we have video with us. Let us know when we have to play it.
Okay, so just before to start, I would just to spend a few words, if I can, to express my humble appreciation for Professor Bhandari, because if there is one positive thing in the pandemic is that I had the honor to meet him. So, and know him, I know he's one of the leading experts in the world, I can say, about artificial intelligence and also IP rights. And I take the opportunity to also share with our public that he just published one new book about IP rights protection. And so I just exhort all of you to get the book. Also to have more knowledge about that topic. So I also have the privilege to be part of the institute of which Professor is a CEO. So this is one of the other positive things of the pandemic. Let me say that. And so he is always available to share his knowledge with everyone. That's why I'm so grateful to him to be with us today. He's, as you know, that summer school is centered, dedicating one day to every participant university. Today is the University of Santiago de Compostela lecture day. where I have the privilege to be associate professor, senior fellow in law, and member of recently a part of a multidisciplinary group, which is named EcoBust. It's an innovative group, research group, because it is composed by fellow colleagues from every scientific area interesting and relevant to the study of global change, and especially to global climate change. So it is a great effort still in progress, just started to join efforts to study, research, and share knowledge with society about current global issues. And in fact, very recently, we had a presential, semi-presential summer school on global change and human security here in Santiago de Compostela. And the university is located in the northern part of Spain, which is a known, well-known, possibly part of Spain, because you know, normally it is known, Spain is known like a sunny place. Unfortunately, here the weather is not so good. But it is an interesting and fascinating city, a very old city, which is a UNESCO Common Heritage Site. It is also destination of an historical pilgrimage named Camino of Santiago de Compostela, which I invite you to have a look to, because it's a very interesting experience to do. Tiring perhaps, but it is a fascinating experience to do. And the place and the university, which is historically and traditionally born with the same city. So the university, it is not well known, is one of the ancient of Europe. So it has been founded in early 1000 into the 15th century. And include all relevant areas of studies. So what we are going to do before to start, elect to Professor Banhari the microphone and the possibility, especially to me, to learn one more day from him. I would like to ask to our guys supporting us today. So especially grateful to all of them to please share the first video about research with us, and then we will see a short video about Santiago de Compostela. So the first video we are going to see, unfortunately, is in Spanish. It is a general video about the 5 macro areas of research and study here at University of Santiago. And then the second one we are going to see has been produced by students and musicians of University of Santiago, and you will see the tradition. You will see a sketch of the city, and especially you will hear the traditional music of the place. So before to start the first video, please, I ask to all students to switch on their camera, which is one of the rules of that summer school. So otherwise, I just recall you that if you don't have switch on your camera, you will be considered absent to the school. So Sanidia, please, could you share the first video on research at university?
And whatever we have learned is our duty as seniors to share that learnings with our younger friends. I am also thankful to Knowledge Stees, a group of large number of universities across the world, including India, who have come together on a common platform to organize these kind of programs. And I'm also especially thankful to the University of San Diego for organizing today's lecture. Well, friends, although I have structured my lecture and the presentation for about 50-55 minutes duration, however, as per the guidelines issued by Dr. Antonita, I shall try to skip the less important topics or issues.
No worry, Professor, about timeline, because I just advised the organizer that we will be flexible today. So if you extend more minutes, no worry. We are all pleasant to hear you. Thank you.
Thank you for extending my timeline. I'll try to do justice with the theme, and I'm sure that you all would be taking keen interest in today's presentation, and I would look forward to your observations, comments, responses, question answers, whatever. So now I would like to start, and I would like to ask the organizer to please allow me to share my screen. Okay.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah, is it my first slide visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Friends, we all are passing through the dawn of new era. And this new era is dominated and controlled by the technology. Technology is transforming our lives at breakneck speed, dramatically altering the way in which we live, we work, we learn, or even we think. I am talking especially today about the artificial intelligence, which is growing exponentially during last few years. AI is humanity's new frontier. It is going to impact in big way the entire humanity. The artificial intelligence coupled with the machine learning, IoT, blockchain technology, and other highly disruptive technologies is changing, as I said, our life. And there are so many advantages in terms of the business, in terms of the industry, in terms of healthcare management, and to name any sector of the life, we find that the artificial intelligence has made its mark and presence. As this technology is growing exponentially, at the same time, we find that there are certain inherent dangers or worrisome issues which we need to understand, and we need to resolve those issues timely so that we can take advantage of the technology for human welfare. After all, the object of every technology or every human endeavor is the humanity, welfare of the humanity. Let me quickly share with you the points, the issues which I am going to share with you. What is artificial intelligence? What are the global developments? What are the focus areas for AI intervention? Major challenges of AI adoption. Then we will come to our major issue of today's discussion: ethics, privacy, security, which would include the anti-discriminatory practices and human rights violation. And finally, we will try to develop that how we can regulate the artificial intelligence, whole arena of artificial intelligence. What could be the possibilities? What could be the options before the governments, before the technical experts, and before all the stakeholders? So let me quickly first say, I think when we are talking about the legal and ethical dimensions, we all understand what is artificial intelligence. I need not to go deep into it. Simply, I would say, as John McCarthy, who is known as the term artificial intelligence in 1956, give a simple definition, and according to him, it is science and engineering of making intelligent machine, especially intelligent computer programs. What we are doing, as I understand, is that the natural intelligence, the human intelligence, is being transferred in a calibrated and in a planned manner to the computers. The computers, which are machines, they are injected with the intelligence so that they can take some decisions according to pre-programmed algorithms. We can also say it is ability of computer or a robot controlled by computers to do tasks that are usually done by human because they require human intelligence and discernment. Artificial intelligence is a theory and development of computer system that can perform tasks that normally require human intelligence: speech recognition, decision making, visual perceptions, translation between languages. Are these some of the applications which we will discuss? And if we look into the various stages of the artificial intelligence, we find that there are three stages. One is narrow and weak. Second is general and strong. And third, super intelligence. Currently, we are oscillating between the narrow and general artificial intelligence, but still we have not reached to the level of super artificial intelligence, and we hope and we wish that we do not reach to that level, because when computers or machines would be faster than the human beings, will take independent decisions, I think that they would be disastrous for the human natural intelligence, human beings. So let us see how the artificial intelligence is being applied in various sectors and what are the global developments. I'll take you to some newspapers clippings which will just give you a glimpses. Artificial intelligence will be enabler for different kind of jobs in future. We will discuss that there is an allegation that AI is going to be making a big hole in the job and employment. But here we find that there are alternative opportunities. I will discuss to that. Now we can see in time, future times, the navigation industry, the transportation industry, including the air industry, would be run by pilots, robotic pilots. Similarly, the developments which are taking place because of the advancement and research in the artificial intelligence, three scientists from Japan, Yoshua Pengin, Geoffrey Hinton, and Jan Lichtenstein, they have been awarded the Nobel Prize of Technology, which is known as a Turing Award. Turing Award is considered as an equivalent of the Nobel Prize in the domain of technology, and these three scientists have been awarded Nobel Prize, the Turing Award. Now we find that in USA, the MIT, the global leader in technology, education, and research, MIT has opened a dedicated college for artificial intelligence with a corpus of $1 billion US, and they are going to develop the ethical and responsible artificial intelligence behavior. We are also find that a Russian robot, now in time to come, the humanoids, they will guide human beings. You must have seen some scientific fictions in Hollywood and in India also, such as Terminator, The Matrix, Passengers, iRobot, The Machine, Singularity. These are some scientific fictions movies which have depicted the prowess or the future of artificial intelligence, how the humanoids, the artificial intelligence driven machines can surpass the human beings. And that is the cause of our worry, that can we or shall we face those type of situations? Now, let me quickly come to the global developments in the area of artificial intelligence. According to that magazine, there are 7 stages that will create a smarter world with the artificial intelligence. Rule-based systems, that is domestic application, and robotic process automation software that surrounds us everywhere. Every day we see the robots in surgery, in medical care, the robots in industrial applications, the robots in manufacturing, and in robots now during the COVID era, where the physical contacting is being avoided. There are a lot of functions at airports and other places which are conducted with the help of artificial intelligence, run cameras or machines and robots. Contact awareness and detention algorithm, that could be a body of information that is used and updated by machines, for example, chatbots and robo advisors. Now we will find, and we do see, that Amazon, they have a Alexa or Siri, or you go to any institution which has a public context, they have created chatbots who are interacting with human beings as efficiently as normal human beings can do. Then domain-specific expertise, machines that can develop expertise in a specific field that extend beyond the capability of human. Because of the information access, they can quickly get to reach a decision. The artificial intelligence has a twin advantage of automation, speed, and precision. Although all these programs are preloaded with help of the big data and the help of algorithms, but their capability increases manifold. Reasoning machines, these are the possibilities where the algorithms have a theory of mind, means they are injected with certain mental faculty like emotions. They can take the instructions from the master and they can execute the task. Or they can also provide a good companion like a human being. Self-aware system, the goal of those working in the AI field is to create and develop system with human-like intelligence. These are the areas when the AI-based human artificial intelligence is converted or is replaced by the human-like intelligence, that would be a cause which we have to understand. Then artificial superintelligence. Now, this is the third stage of artificial intelligence, which we hope that we do not reach to that, or we can regulate well in time, or we can develop a code of ethics where the human intelligence, the natural intelligence must remain. If Max Tegmark, professor of cosmology at the MIT, has written a wonderful book, Life 2.0, wherein he has highlighted, he has cautioned where the artificial intelligence should limit. Now, another is singularity and transcendence. a development path enabled by artificial superintelligence that could lead to a massive expansion of human capability, where one day we might be sufficiently augmented and enhanced such that human could connect their brain to each other to a future successor of the current internet. These are the advances which we are witnessing at global level. Now I'm coming to the focus area of AI intervention. This is very important because today what we find that every aspect of the human life is being assisted or is being regulated with the support of AI intervention, be it healthcare. In healthcare, we find the early detection of disease, the advanced text, the advanced diagnosis, AI-driven diagnosis. Now, during this current COVID-19 pandemic, the healthcare system has come under a great stress world over. And I think it is at this juncture that AI can support in faster development of vaccination, in faster transportation of the vaccination through drones and other modes of transportation. And here, in administration of the doses, medicines also, the AI can help in personalized treatment, because every human being has a typical response to the medicines. So it can help in early diagnosis, in early treatment, and precision medicine. As I said, in all these areas, the AI can help. Also in agriculture, because there are untoward situations like floods, like famine. In those situations, AI-enabled system can make early warnings, and all over these cyclones and other natural calamities, they can be forecasted, and they are being forecasted to prepare human beings, to prepare nations for remedial measures. So what we find, all these aspects, they are very important. Smart mobility, including transports and logistics. One of the major area where we find the AI induced system will help is mobility and transportation. And as I've shown you in the beginning, that a day may come when the planes will be run, will be operated, will be piloted by the robots. Even in space, we find that the whole space journey of the spacecrafts are controlled by AI-based ground control. So drones are another important new invention which are run by AI tools. So in all these areas, the driverless cars, the Tesla, the Apple, and the Google, these are three global leaders who are developing, and they have already developed the prototypes, and some vehicles are lying on the road. So driverless cars or driverless vehicles, they will be controlled by AI, and that is not a far, is a near reality. Retail. So the whole big retail market, especially again during the COVID, when our mobility was controlled and we could not visit markets, the online e-commerce companies, giants like Amazon, Flipkart, and many other companies, they have done tremendous work. They have helped in retail marketing. So these retail marketers, they use AI solutions and they apply, analyzing the experience or the needs of the consumers. These needs and consumers' product improvement, they are done with the support of machine learning, which operates on huge data analysis, data analytics, big data analytics, deep learning, and all these supporting technology or enabling technologies, they help in predicting or in dealing with the consumer behavior and consumer needs. Manufacturing is another important industry. All such tough or risky tasks, hazardous tasks, can be performed by robots. And the AI-based system can also control the demand forecast, the supply chain management based on the demand and supply, marketing smart decisions, including engineering, R&D, research and development efforts. They can also be expedited, or they can also be conducted with the help of AI algorithms. So these are major areas where we can deploy AI. There are energy sector is another important area. Smart cities. Now, globally, we are developing the concept of smart home, smart machines like smart AC, smart fridge, which are fitted with the IoTs, which operate on the pre-programmed algorithms, and you can control your home, your gadgets, and the whole city can be monitored or can be administered with the support of the AI driven technology. Then education and skilling. In education also, whether it is a legal education or professional education or any area of education and even profession, the AI supported education is also coming in a large way. The chatbots, the podcast, and all other technological inventions, they are supporting and helping in skill enhancement and learning experiences. Similarly, in administration of laws and administration of justice, the AI-driven tools are helping in court management, in preparing the dockets, in recording the evidences, in delivering the judgments. In advanced countries and also in city like Dubai, the Smart Dubai project, they are putting a lot of efforts and investment in blending the blockchain, AI, and IoT together for smart administration of the city. Another major area which I have not here mentioned is the defense sector. The warfare, defense ballistic missiles, the drones, and other areas of warfare and defense production. There also the AI-based precision, the ballistic missiles, intercontinental missiles, they operate unmanned missiles, unmanned aircraft, and all other such weapons of lethal weapons of mass destructions. They also are empowered. They are also fitted with AI programming, and they help in reducing the human casualties and in becoming a more and more lethal. So that is another aspect where AI is also being deployed. Now, if I invite your attention to some major challenges, but before that, I'll show you these two figures, how investment and revenue in AI is increasing year on year. If you go to this chart, from 2016 to coming 2025, the projections are that from 387 million US dollar, now the projected revenue from the AI enterprise is going to touch 31,000, almost 1,000 times more revenue is going to be generated on the artificial intelligence applications worldwide. And if you go by sectoral impact, then here the 32% software information technology services are run on AI platforms, 8.78 internet, 4.19 telecommunication, 3.37 research, so on and so forth. I'm not going to elaborate each and every one. The government administration is also having the share of 2.04%. Now, when we come to, if I talk to Indian perspective, the Niti Aayog, the India's official policy think tank, has come out with a status paper on the artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. And they have projected a great promising future for artificial intelligence based applications. And they have asked this government to frame policies for research and for integrating government schemes and government programs with artificial intelligence driven technology and blockchain technology. So we are finding that there is a constant rise in the, or there is an incremental rise in the investment and revenue and adoption of AI based tools and technology. If we take the future projections from 2020 to 2025, between 70 and 90% of all initial customers interactions are likely to be conducted or managed by AI. Gradually, all the personal interaction, person-to-person interaction will be replaced by AI-enabled chatbots or the other instruments. Product development in a range of sectors from fashion items and consumer goods to manufacture equipments could increasingly be undertaken and tested by AI. Individual, the quality testing, the quality assurance, they all can be done through AI. Individual will be able to define and design personalized products and services they require in sector ranging from travel to banking, savings, and insurance. You can have personalized products depending upon, you can design using your own liking and taste. We can design our customized products. The technology is likely to be deployed across all government agencies and legal systems. This is a major area where the government and the entire legal system is collaborating for adoption of the AI-driven technology. Autonomous vehicles will start appearing in many cities across the world. We are already seeing that this is going to be a reality very soon. Our intelligent assistants could now be managed large part of our lives, from traveling, planning, through compiling and information we need prior to meeting. All these things are projected, and if we go through this images, we find that there is a need for building a competitive and ethical AI economy. Now, for building a competitive and ethical AI economy, which make the AI accountable, we find that we need to have bridge the digital skill gap, higher reporting standards, high expectations for technology, growing competition, employees' values, and rapid innovations. We have to also address a governmental framework, a proper regulatory framework, which we will discuss. We have to create an accountability mechanism, and we also have to create trust and transparency. These are all ethical issues which we have to address for effective AI applications and welfare AI applications. And we have to empower our workforce, because after all, the technology is to supplement and not supplant the human beings. The technology is for the welfare of the society and not the enemy of the society. That is what we have to develop. If we come to AI, major challenges in AI adoption, which we have already mentioned in this infographic, I'll just recollect it. Lack of enabling data ecosystem, because we all know the artificial intelligence is primarily highly sophisticated data-driven technology where the data collected is programmed with the help of machine learning and deep learning, and the algorithms created, they are designed and they are infused with the human-like intelligence to limited extent, not to the full extent, and then they work, they perform as they are programmed. Another important challenge or issue is low intensity of AI research. As I mentioned, that now the countries or the institutions, they are realizing that a lot of research has to be done. The core research in fundamental technologies and transforming core research into market application. One is core research, second is conversion or transformation of core research into adoption as technology. That is invention and technology. So first is to invent and then to convert that invention into technology. And here the AI research, as I mentioned, that MIT has started a very ambitious project. Similarly, various other Google, Amazon, in India, back home, the Abode Laboratory has established AI research laboratory in the city of Hyderabad, from where I belong. So a lot of research work is being undertaken, and in the Niti Aayog research paper, a lot of focus has been given on research. Inadequate availability of AI expertise, manpower, and skilling opportunities. Because the technology is growing exponentially. The adoption of technology is gaining ground and gaining support from industry and academia. In that proportion, the availability of experts and manpower is not commensurating with the requirement. So that is another challenge. High resource cost and low awareness for adopting AI in business processes. Still, we find a wide gap in the acceptance, the adoption of the technology, and there is a common belief that the technology is costly affair. Adoption of costly is highly is very dear. Whereas with the gradual expansion, the cost of technology is also coming down, and the benefits of the application or adoption of technology is also being realized in the quality production, in the better marketing system, in early warning and other, in better management of healthcare services and all these things. But unclear privacy, security, and ethical regulation. This is the major issue which we are going to now address. Because of privacy issues, because of the lack of proper data privacy regulations, high security stakes, and ethical regulations, and also the legal regulations are major concern for future of the AI adoption. Unattractive intellectual property regime to incentivize research and adoption of AI. Again, there is a major challenge. How we can address the IPR issues, intellectual property rights, such as patent, trademark, copyright, and how we can leverage the AI generated new invention or new technology with the conferment or with the grant of patent rights because as of now, our legal system or our IP laws across the world, they do not recognize the grant of IP to artificial machine. We grant AI to individual or to legal person like companies or to individuals. But now, since AI is also, with the help of AI, new inventions are coming. Can a robot claim intellectual property rights? Can a robot be given a patent for the invention which has developed? So these are the issues which I'll quickly address. While the issues of ethics would concern the biases that AI system can propagate, the privacy concerns are largely on collection and inappropriate use of data for personal discrimination. Issues of security arises from the implications and consequent accountability of any AI system. First, let me address the ethical issues with the AI. As we know, ethics is a set of moral principles which help us discern between right and wrong. AI ethics is a set of guidelines that advise on the design and outcome of artificial intelligence. Because we are using, or we have developed, and we are in the process of developing the AI tools and technology, which is going to impact, which is already impacting the human actions or human beings. What is right and what is wrong, what is for the benefit of the society and what is not for the benefit of society, that we have to understand, and accordingly the use and application of AI has to be decided. In this direction, the tech giants like Alphabet, Amazon, Facebook, IBM, Microsoft, Google, individuals like Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, Elon Musk has even contributed a huge sum for developing AI ethical code. They all believe that it is right time to talk about nearly boundless landscape of artificial intelligence. The possibility of artificial intelligence applications are limitless, boundless, and we have to talk about the impact of that and where we have to stop or where we have to control. Now, the issues which are mainly figuring out are unemployment. What happens after the end of jobs? If we employ one robot in an industry, it may replace 10 persons. It may make 10 people unemployed, and it can perform the task of 10 people. So whether, or is it going to be a good decision? Is it ethical to render the people jobless? Here I have read one article that the artificial intelligence is not going to make people unemployed, but it is going to change the way we have to seek work. Our capabilities, we have to convert, or we have to transform our capabilities. With the traditional style of functioning, we may not survive. And that is true with the technological revolution. We have to update. Now there are going to be millions of jobs in data analytics, in data mining. India is going to become a big hub for data management, data mining, and data analysis. So you can update yourself and also be employed. That is a debatable question, whether AI will render people unemployed, causing a loss of job and loss of the earnings, rendering the families, driving them toward the hunger and inequality. Second is inequality, how we distribute the wealth created by machine. Now with the help of AI, the big tech companies or big players, they can acquire tremendous amount of wealth by upgrading their products, by upgrading their marketing. Whether this difference between have and have-nots will render inequality, whether that would be good for the society, that is again an issue. Humanity. How do machines affect our behavior and interaction? Humanity is at stake, at challenge, at crossroad. Because if we reach to the level of super intelligence, or as projected in science fiction movies, then the same artificial intelligence, which is servant, can become the master. As I said, the Sophia, a Russian humanoid, will employ and will fire employees. So the humanoid fitted with the AI will function as the master, not the servant. Artificial stupidity. How can we guard against mistakes? Because it is data-driven technology. And data is a new oil. It is said that data is a new oil. So this mistake in collection or interpretation of data is going to cost heavily. And there can be possibility of error. Even I'll come to the biases. Next point is that robotic assist robots. When the agencies which collect the data, we have seen this happening in Facebook or other giants, the data is manipulated. The data is fudged. The data is selectively applied. So these biases, which are discriminatory, especially those underprivileged people, they are going to cause a big problem. So what we have to ensure is data integrity, data transparency. Transparency means whatever data is collected and is applied or used, it must be visible. We see in AI, there is a concept of black box. The concept of black box says that the AI system whose input and operations are not visible to users, or author, another interested party cannot see the program or cannot interpret the data. They are inaccessible. They are impenetrable. So how these issues can be resolved? Now here we can come to the data protection, which is because issues of data is most important. It's a human right perspective also. Right to privacy is a human right and a globally recognized human right, which has already been embedded in the constitutional law of almost every country. So here we need to have a strong data protection legal framework. In Europe, we find that GDPR, Global Data Protection Law, is a very effective law. But General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR 2018, which has been subsequently updated, is a very strong data protection law. But we do not find the similar law yet enacted in India. Though we have a personal data protection bill, post Supreme Court judgment in Puttaswamy case, the government of India has come out with the draft bill, data protection, personal data protection bill, which works on the 7 core principles of data protection and privacy, that is informed consent, technology, agnosticism, data controller, accountability, data minimization, data localization, holistic applications, deterrent penalties, and structured enforcement. But still, it is not converted. It has not been enacted in the shape of law. In USA, we find that the data protection is granted under the patchwork of federal laws and state-sponsored legislations. But overall, what we feel is that we need a strong data protection law. And you can benchmark our data protection law with the European GDPR. That could be a good model law for enacting the data protection law in India. Coming to security and AI concern, cyber security, with the advancement of information technology and further advancement in the other disruptive technologies, the issues of cyber security has become a very serious issue. The rising cyber crimes in case of blockchain technology, the frauds, the cryptocurrency heist, and in case of AI, the hacking of the critical data, they all are the security concern. And how we find that armed drones, proliferation of drones with armed weapons has become a big threat. And here I have tried to show how in Gaza Strip, Israel, and these technologies have caused damage and loss of life by operating remotely without man. And recently in India, we have seen very recently a drone attack at Jammu military base. Fortunately, not much loss of life, no loss of life or property or establishment was caused, but attempt was made to target the military establishments via drone attacks from our neighboring country. So these are the real security issues, which also we have to address, and we have to frame a standard code of conduct and even the law to check these issues. Now, as I said, the discriminatory practices in data, I'll come to first. An attempt has been made globally. MIT professor I mentioned earlier, Max Tegmark, and his two other colleagues, Skype chairman Jan Tiltonen and DeepMind Research Foundation Victoria Krekotwana, they have come out with a Asilomar AI principles, the 23 points guidelines or code of conduct which every institution must adopt. And these Asilomar AI principles deal with the research, ethics and values, which include safety, transparency, failure transparency, judicial transparency, responsibility, value alignment, human values, personal privacy, liberty and privacy, shared benefit, shared prosperity. We have discussed these points just now in other form. Human control, non-subversion, and AI arms race. So these are the ethical considerations we have to address, that in which areas should we fuel the arms race using the AI? Should we create discrimination or discriminatory practices? All these things, should we create human or respect the human dignity, human privacy? All these issues which are considered, and every company like Google, Capgemini, Amazon, Microsoft, all big players who are using AI, they are coming out with ethical code of conduct, and I think that is the need of the time. Now, since this session is also devoted on the discrimination and the human rights, so I have tried to cover up the discriminatory issues, fairness in data and algorithms. A study conducted by Harvard Business Review, which was published in Harvard Business Review by one writer, Andrew Bird, How to Fight Discrimination in Artificial Intelligence, has highlighted that how the banking companies, in order to avoid grant of loans to disadvantaged people, they have tampered with the data, or they have collected the unfair data, depriving or lowering down the credit worthiness of those people, therefore depriving them from access to the banking facilities and banking loan facilities. So these are but one example where the data and algorithms can be manipulated to act in favor of a person or to act against a person. So what we need is unbiased approach and transparency. The black box concept has to be revisited. Whatever is stored and whatever is applied can be visible, can be examined. No discrimination on the basis of gender, ethnicity, geography, and other considerations. So we have seen, just I have given an example, that these type of things have been reported. Discrimination deprive marginalized classes, because the worst effect is on the deprived or marginalized or have-nots people. In this area, I have also seen that the Council of Europe and Defender of Rights, these two have come together and they have designed an educational program, online course on how to fight discriminatory practices in artificial intelligence. And I think those who are interested, they must have access to this program, they must visit this program, and they should also take advantage and learn about that. Because we know that law prohibits, any fair law, any justifiable law prohibits discrimination. And coming to the human rights perspective, the essence of human rights is human dignity. I think everybody agrees with this, that the essence of human rights is human dignity, equality, freedom, and right to privacy. All these issues, they must be addressed. They must be, the AI should not cause the human dignity, as we have seen the human values in Asilmore declaration, that human values must be respected. Human freedom, we should not develop the technology where the machine dominates human beings, where the machine dictates the human being. And equality of opportunities. All people, all persons in the society must have equal and fair access to the technology. That is a big challenge. And as I have already mentioned, the right to privacy, because so much of data and so much of application of data invades in the privacy domain of person. I would like to quote the European Parliament, what European Parliament has said in 2017. Because of data sets and algorithmic system used when making assessment and predictions at the different stages of data processing, big data may result not only in infringement of fundamental rights of individuals, but also in differential treatment of and indirect discrimination against groups of people with similar characteristics. There may be intended or there may be non-intended, deliberate, intentional, or outcome-based discrimination. I continue, particularly with regard to fairness and equality of opportunities for access to education and employment. When recruiting or assessing individual, or when determining the new consumer habits of social media users. So this is a big challenge. This is a human right concern which we need to address. And now coming to the final point, other issues which we need to have is data privacy. I have already referred, I will not go to it. Contract and liability. Our current legal system as it exists in the present form, we don't have provisions for things like smart contracts. In some countries, US jurisdictions, some recognition has been given to my understanding. But for, say, for example, driverless vehicles, unmanned vehicles, how the liability will be fixed, how the contract will be designed to create a liability for the developer, for the creator, for the user. That is another issue that we have to accordingly amend or create new set of rules for dealing with the AI. Data privacy, we have already mentioned. Intellectual property, as I said, it's a major concern. We should encourage the industry or individuals who are conducting AI researches. At the same time, demand for the claim of patent or copyright for algorithms or for contents or trademark rights for commercial value, can they be given to the mathematical formula, to the machines? To my understanding, as per the Indian Patents Act 1970, Section 3, which deals with the inventions which are not patentable, under Section 3K, the business formula, the machines and computer programs per se are not patentable. So these are the issues which we have to revisit in the light of new development. And finally, I would like to say that we have to promote, I believe, and I used to say when I discuss or we conduct programs on blockchain technology and artificial intelligence and cryptocurrencies and all these new transformational technology, that these technologies, like even information technology, that is the foundational technology, they are transnational. They cannot be confined within the borders of one particular jurisdiction, and their application impact the humanity at large. So we cannot make the laws or code of ethics in a fragmented way. The code of ethics cannot vary from country to country or from company to company, or the laws cannot be different. As I used to give an example, the intellectual property rights, we have a global trade-related intellectual property system, TRIPS, under the banner of WTO, which laid down the minimum standards of the intellectual property rights. Similarly, we have a global system of civil aviation, IATA. We have a global system for diplomatic privileges and immunities, Vienna Convention. We have a global system for sea-related laws or warfare laws, Geneva Conventions on sea laws or Geneva Conventions on humanitarian laws. These are the global standards, global international treaties which are applicable to all countries. So the time has come. My argument or my plea is that when it comes to technology like AI or blockchain, we have to develop a global jurisprudence, a global set of conduct with minimum standards. There may be a little bit variation, permissible variation from cultural specific or country specific requirements, but the minimum requirements of ethical standards and legal standards must be uniform. And for that, I think all nations, in consultation with all stakeholders, must take initiative. And I will invite your attention to UNESCO initiative. The Director General Audrey Azoulay has mentioned very rightly that it is our responsibility to lead a universal and enlightened debate in order to enter this new era with our eyes wide open, without sacrificing our values, and to make it possible to establish a common global foundation of ethical principles. This common global foundation of ethical principle is the need of the time. International regulatory instrument is essential for responsible development of AI, a task that UNESCO is in the process of undertaking. The UNESCO has undertaken this new task, and I'm sure that in time to come, we will have a global foundation of ethical and regulatory principles in place. These are some references for your further study and research. And I'm thankful to all of you for giving me patient hearing and attention. And finally, I also thank Professor Antonita for extending my time. I hope I have tried to share with you what I wanted to share, but still there is a lot of issues which I might not have covered in the limited duration, and you can continue with this issue and theme and develop it further. Now, whatever time is allowed, I am open for discussions and your comments. Thank you all. Thank you, Professor Antonita. With these words, I conclude my presentation. Over to you.
So thank you very much, Professor, for that insightful and inspiring presentation, which actually, if I can say, it's a summary of an entire course on artificial intelligence. So double thank you to you to have presented all the major issues in so in just 1 hour, because it's really an impressive things to do. Please.
I will share this PowerPoint presentation to you in mail, and
Great. Thank you.
it is like a Creative Commons. You can share it with the participants who are interested, or
of course,
yeah, they can write to me on my mail ID, which I will write here in the chat box. So those who want to connect with me, they can also connect with me.
Thank you very much for this, because it would be with no doubt useful for our participants, and of course every one of us try to share soon before or soon after their intervention any reference or material. And also thank you to be available for our participants. This is one more sign of your generosity, so thank you very much for this.
Thank you for giving me sufficient time so that I feel that I have tried to do justice with my
Yeah, I
theme.
feel guilty
And
because
I'm sure that the participants must have found it useful.
no doubt about that. No doubt about that. I just feel guilty because, as I say, the 1 hour possibly was a really short short time for all topics you covered during your presentation. So thank you very much for this. And so before to abuse of my role of host today, I would like to open the floor to our participants for questions, comments, and I really invite all of them to make comments.
Professor,
yes, please.
Professor Antonita, I just a short. I want to recognize and acknowledge the presence of Professor Yugal Kishore, the Dean, School of Law, Kafai University, Dehradun, one of my esteemed friend, and a very
he's
great scholar. I think he is here. I saw him. Can you, Professor Yugal Kishore, if you are here, can you please make yourself visible and
welcome.
And one of my also friend, Dr. Kuldeep Singh Pawar, is here. He is also professor of law in the Central University of Nagaland.
Thank you to be with us today.
One scientist,
what a surprise.
Anupam Tiwari is a blockchain scientist. He's also there. And
please, I invite also them to intervene with comments, and it would be absolutely our privilege.
No, I don't want any favor for them. I just wanted to acknowledge, and the floor is open for discussion for everybody. And
of course,
yes.
thank you very much to join us today. So waiting for our comments and questions. Don't have fear. We are in a cyber mode. We cannot.
I would love to listen from the learned friends, and even that help us in calibrating our knowledge and also learning.
So there is maybe we have also sorry, because it's my fault. I don't mention that if you are not able or you prefer to pose your questions in written, you can do it in our chat. So if you don't want to ask with your video and microphone, you can use the chat box and I will read the questions for you. So actually we have a question for Mr. Ismailov Boris.
Yes.
He's grateful for your intervention, and he asks, in your opinion, how to prevent the violation of rights?
Can I see you, Mr.?
Maybe yes.
Okay.
Or not.
Yes.
No. I invite Boris Ismailov to switch on the video, please. Maybe you should change the view of the Zoom, Professor, and you can find it easy.
I've read the question of Ismailov. Sorry if I can. If I'm not able to, Boris, because of the.
He asked how to prevent the violation. Yes. I'm reading it for.
I've read it. It has raised a very important issue.
Sorry, Professor. I would like to read. Sorry, I would like to read the question for all the participants before. Thank you.
Please.
So our colleague and participant asked to Professor how to prevent the violation of the rights of citizens to privacy in connection with the need to counter global terrorism. For example, it is known that many acts of terrorism have recently been coordinated through social media. Could be AI a solution? Thank you, Professor.
Yes, it's a very important problem these days that social media is being abused, I would say, for spreading canards and informations and news, and it should not be, or which may be counterproductive, which may promote hatred, which may promote terrorist activities. And we have been in India, we have been facing this problem very often, because such a large country and the user base is very large. And I would not hesitate in saying that the level of education is still not that advanced. So people are easily carried away by emotions and by these things. So yes, the point is that how we can check them by using AI, how we can prevent such spread. So while the AI can help in raising early warnings, in raising or in aborting such practices, the platforms like Facebook or Twitter or um, Messenger, or for that matter WhatsApp, or all such social media platforms, if they are linked, are connected with the AI based systems, such messages, they can be filtered, can be checked, can be prevented from further spreading the moment they are detected. So these technologies like AI, they can act as a guard, as a protective umbrella, as a filter kind of things, or even a early warning. Because you have seen that in USA, there was an allegation, rightly or wrongly, I don't know, that Putin helped in picking the election patterns in favor of Biden this time. So how far it is true or not, subject matter of investigation. So by using the profile of the individuals, by collecting the data, and by deciphering the preferences, they could manipulate. So here also the AI could, which is data driven, which filters the data, which arrange the data, which analyze the data, and which creates the algorithm. If the people are in process of creating such objectionable or hatred kind of messages or news, they can warn. They can warn the governments. They can warn the system. They can warn the platforms that these type of trends are visible, and preventive action can be taken. So AI can act as a preventive mechanism. Yes.
Thank you very much for this, but I would like just to ask you, do you think that just in relation to it, actually, you don't think that we are just evolving in that sector to use to apply artificial intelligence to such kinds of security issues? To the contrary, what we are seeing until now is that possibly the use of AI is in a negative sense. So do you think it is still under development, the system and in general, or there is any country in your opinion that is more ahead in this sector and can be useful as a best practice for other countries?
Thank you, Professor Antonita. You have raised a very important issue. Yes, the invention of AI is old one, but it has passed through different phases. The bad phase, now the golden phase. The current is the golden phase of AI. The AI application in various sectors, which I have mentioned in my presentation, is increasing. But at the same time, because the application of AI is increasing, the adoption of AI is increasing, we are also facing a lot of problems, societal problems, cultural problems, human rights problems, which we have just now mentioned a few. So I agree with you that we are in the experimental stage. Like all other new emerging technologies, blockchain and all these things, we are in the experimental stages. In last 10 years, the application of AI, or 15 years, you can say, the AI application has increased manifold. And alongside, we are also finding some problem issues. the issues with the data collection, the issues with the data analysis, the issues with the even connectivity, availability of the internet facilities, and all these things. So we are, in my opinion, and I agree with you, we are in the evolutionary stage. And we will face problems whenever we are in evolutionary stage. But the good thing is that the scientists, the government, the organizations, the NGOs, they are seized with the problem. That is why we are talking today with the issues of ethics and law. That see the reach and the application of the technology needs, there is a warning bell that we need to regulate it. It cannot be left open to any extent. And that is a good sign. That's a good sign that people, the stakeholders are aware, the governments are aware that we have to create a framework where we can maintain the human dignity, we can maintain or we can share the benefit of technology while maintaining the balance. So this is a journey of maintaining balance between the technology and humanity.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I would like to read for all one more question from the chat box from I invite the author of the question to mention his name or her name, because I just see a nickname. But he, I suppose he asked to you. Oh, this is a very interesting question to me, and I think also to you. Who is the inventor of an AI-based invention? Please.
Very important question, $1 million question, I would say. Because this is a riddle, this is a big challenge. That if the AI within process of application or within process of research creates a new invention, then who will be the owner, or for copyright, who will be the author of the contents? Who will be the owner of the patent? Because in existing legal framework, I have already mentioned it, and I would like to repeat it. The machine cannot be given patent. Patent has to be exercised by human beings. Maybe the inventor, the first inventor, who should be a human being. If he is associated with some institution, laboratory or institution, the patent can be given to the institution with his name as a co-owner. But machine cannot be given patent. A robot cannot be given a patent for the inventive functioning or inventive technology. This is the current state of the law. I think, in my view or my understanding of intellectual property jurisprudence, this is the correct approach. We must encourage inventions in AI. That invention must be done by individual people, because we cannot, what I feel, and I have been writing also, that human beings cannot be made subservient to the machine. That is the title of my theme today. It should be a good servant, not a bad master. Technology should not dominate our choices. Our technology should not control beyond a certain extent. So, in my opinion, the answer is, and it's a debatable. What I say is not a final answer. It's a debatable. Tomorrow, the world community, the global community may find out with some answers. When we give patent to the machine, who also has invented something, it meets the criteria of patentability, novelty, innovativeness, usefulness. But it is a machine, it is an artificial person. Not even a person. In law, we do not recognize, we have a natural person and artificial person. If machine is not recognized as an artificial person, institution is recognized, corporate is recognized, idol is recognized. But I have not seen that machine is recognized as a legal person. So that is, to my mind, it is individual human being, person, natural person, who should be given the patent for inventions and not the machine.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. Just let me apologize with the author of the question and Lo Wellman. Sorry for my bad pronunciation. It was not my intention to appear discriminating, but I believe that was unclear in the chat box. So my apologize. It was not my intention to misunderstanding the name. And of course, discriminate in any case, absolutely. So we have one more question, and then I invite all of you to our second session part of our debate after the break and the other introduction. So the other question from Angelica Soam is she asked, would this approach you mentioned, wouldn't this approach fail in the case if artificial intelligence device or robot is sold to a third party?
Yes.
It's related to the transfer of ownership of
Correct.
IP.
Correct. The issue is related with the two things. One is the IP rights, and second is the liability. Because one who is owner, who owns, has the liability also. So in first case, when the ownership is transferred, then the person who has acquired the ownership, because it's a kind of transfer of ownership. So we have to see who is the original inventor, who is the first inventor. If it is a machine, and if the ownership has not, the patent cannot be granted or has not been granted as per the law, then the subsequent owner will also not get the patent. Because in case of the transfer, what right you have is transferred. What right you don't have cannot be transferred. The new owner who has purchased or who has got it by gift or whatever may be, he cannot claim that right which was not given to the original person or original owner, which may be a robot or so. But who is the person behind that? If you remember, I'll take you to the corporate law. The lifting the wheel. If you remember the doctrine, if you are a student of the corporate law, the famous case, Solomon versus Solomon, the historic case in the corporate law is lifting the wheel of the, who is company is an artificial person. But there are people who are running the company. Company is a legal person. Law has conferred the legality on it. It can function independent of the natural persons. But in case of any mismanagement or anything, we can lift the wheel of the company and find out who are the persons behind the company. In this case, why I am raising this or connecting this with lifting the wheel concept, that if in case a robot has developed, who is the person behind that technology? If it is an auto generation of machine, without any human intervention, without any human engagement, the patent cannot be granted. But if it is, there is a person, there is a company or set of persons who are behind that creation, they can be identified, or they can be held accountable, or they can claim patent. They can also be held accountable, because this is a very important issue. And accordingly, we have to redesign, we have to recreate, make necessary amendments in our labor laws, our corporate laws, in our contractual laws. Suppose a self-driven car fitted with the IoT.
So, and just in relation to what you just said, you don't think that, for example, an additional protocol to the TRIPS treaty regulating in the framework of WTO international property rights would be useful also for member states? An additional protocol related to AI IP rights related.
Maybe. I agree that in time to come, because these are the, as I mentioned in my presentation, these are the exploratory issues. Maybe that we can have an additional protocol or additional treaty or a separate treaty associated with the main treaty, wherein we can recognize the rights of the machines, the IPR rights of the machines. But the point is, to my understanding, my limited understanding, how they will be exercised. Then we can also say that if robot is recognized as a person, legal person or a scientific person, then robot can also have a bank account. Robot can also acquire property. It can also deal with the property also, property rights. And that is what worrying the people. The super intelligence, the next advanced stage of the AI is moving toward that. In Indian, I just mentioned that I think those who have seen the movie Robot, Indian movie, which was based on the American movie. Yes, a robot was created, Chitti. His name was given Chitti. Kamal Hassan, even popular star of the South, he was main leading role. He created a robot, and that robot started. He developed emotions. And he started loving the heroine, which was originally loving the natural person, the Kamal Hassan, the real actor. But the robot started loving her. And when the real actor, the real hero, learned about the behavior, changed behavior, maybe because of corruption in the algorithms, or maybe because of erratic algorithms, or maybe because of the it is a science fiction. Then he tried to dismantle the robot, Chitti. He said, this robot is dangerous to me. It is replacing me. So he tried to dismantle it because it's a machine. And while dismantling, the robot behaved violently. And he was not ready to be died. So these are the issues which we are going to face in time. And they have been depicted nicely in these science fiction movies. So, as you said in the beginning, Professor Antonita, that we are exploratory stage, and lot more issues will come. We have only dealt with a few issues, but I think lot more issues will come, which we have to address in future.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just one more question before the break, which is, I think, related to the negotiation process, actually, because sometimes we forget that, and I'm saying that for our participants, that to reach an agreement at the international level, it is necessary to negotiate. And of course, at universal level, at global level, we have a lot of approach to the same issue, depending from national experiences everyone has, and of course use his or her legal framework and background from here and him and her experience. So it is a really important question related to the mechanism of international legal negotiation. So Mona Hemieda asked, is the importance of artificial intelligence debates or dialogue differ from the first and third world countries? I imagine she say from depending from which country is approaching to the issue of artificial intelligence. Okay.
Well, when it comes, thank you. when it comes to technology, I think we should not create barriers or divide the world into the first world or second world or third world countries, because technology impact everybody and all human beings, rich or poor, uh, black or white, whatever maybe their ethnicity or gender, male or female, everybody is affected. Therefore, in the end of my lecture, I argued, I advocated, and I took the line with the UNESCO that there should be a uniform minimum global standards. And the negotiating point, as you said, that for TRIPS it was WTO, the negotiating point, the platform should be, as UNESCO has already initiated, so UNESCO could take the lead and bring all the stakeholders together. It is not just a 1 or 2 meeting exercise.
Yeah.
It is going to be a huge exercise, and a global convention on AI and interrelated technologies can be conducted under the aegis of the United Nations or UN, UNESCO in specific, and based on the experiences so far and the development of technology which has come so far, certain minimum standards can be framed. And as I mentioned, the MIT Asilomar principles, Google principles, even in Europe, if any principles I don't recollect, various corporate sectors have created the ethical principles. They all should be examined. And the existing laws like data protection law of Europe, of USA, of other countries also, they should also be examined. And a comprehensive, not piecemeal, not in pieces, a comprehensive framework should be developed, and then it should be debated. That won't be final. That would be just a kind of a status paper, and that should be debated thoroughly by all stakeholders. That should be a beginning point. And thereafter, based on the consensus, certain model code of conduct and certain what TRIPS did. TRIPS have given certain.
Sorry to interrupt you. That's the point. The question of consensus at the international
Yes.
level. Because every decision is took in the
Yes.
majority of cases under consensus, and is a new issue. So to reach
Yes.
consensus in that new issue is really difficult, in my idea.
Exactly. And further, the person who has raised this question, from that perspective, I am raising that the concern of the developing countries, because there is still a wide gap in technological advancement in developed countries and developing countries. The developed countries or the corporate tech giants, they may adopt or they may resist certain principles because they want to earn. They want to tech giants like Google, Facebook, Twitter, and all these things. They may be benefited by the loopholes in the law, and they may not grant equity. That is why we call in law equity. There should be an equitable principles. The genuine concern of the developing countries, because they are not technological advanced, they have not reached to that level of the advancement. So what may be beneficial to the corporate giants or technological giants may be harmful to them. And keeping those concerns in mind, after all, we have a global system which is based on the fairness and equity. So their concern, the developing countries' concern, should be taken note of, should be given due attention.
I totally agree with you. Sorry, just let me see. Someone is waiting for. Okay. I have no idea who is waiting. So I can't see who is waiting to be in the platform. So sorry if they are waiting to enter. So just saying that I totally agree with you, and especially on the relation, on the fact that we don't use such kind of I don't know how to define that, a sort of a discriminatory divide about the globe. Let me use the term, since we are in, because sometimes we have many people, and also from legal world have a kind of stereotyping, means and they don't see that sometimes advancement of certain sector are much more developed in a few countries than others. And from the other point of view, in my idea, trade negotiation should be one of the place where also negotiate over artificial intelligence. In fact, in my idea, one of the possible useful place where to develop AI regulation is also the regional level. So I try to use a regional scheme in negotiation, like you mentioned, European Union, but it is not the unique one. For certain aspects related to artificial intelligence, and then to use that negotiation to try to find consensus, like you said, at a global level over a common framework of values and regulation and ethics in relation to artificial intelligence. Yes, please. I'm not sure we have other questions in the chat box right now.
There is a small correction. My friend Anupam Tiwari has corrected me. In the film Robot, I mentioned it was Kamal Hassan who acted as a Chitti. It was not Kamal Hassan. It was Rajnikant, another superstar from the South. He was there. So I did not want to impersonate anybody, but it was by mistake. So please, I stand corrected. Thank you, Mr. Anupam Tiwari, for sending me this message on WhatsApp.
Thank you. So, Professor, if you are agree, and if you can, of course, I don't pretend that you can stay with us all during all the day. But initially, it is supposed that we will have 2 hours today. But I kindly ask, I kindly ask to our participants to be patient, and because I think that we need, and I ask him also to our organizing committee to extend of 1 more hour our lecture day today. I was assured that the Professor Bandhari intervention would have been so interesting. So we of course need 1 more hour today, and
you can take 1 more hour.
so if you are agree, as I already said, our timeline is flexible today. I don't really like to have a closed schedule, especially using virtual hub. I mean, virtual technology, new technologies in for teaching and research. So we try to be more flexible in the use of that, and so I would like to invite participants and professors to have a break of 15 minutes. So I'm generous with the break for everyone. Because normally, Professor, yes, please.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you. Professor Elia, first of all, I must thank all the participants for actively taking interest and gradually raising the queries and questions. I think I tried to satisfy uh, with my answers. Uh, I would seek your permission to leave the meeting uh, because I have already fixed another meeting at 6 o'clock. We are
Yeah.
planning some international conference, and you will be also one of the learned speaker. So
Thank you.
it is a meeting with the other institution with which we are planning somewhere in the month of September end. So I have already fixed it because initially our meeting was to schedule at 30
Yes,
IST.
unfortunately,
Anyway,
I
doesn't matter.
had a personal
No, but
issue.
I had a time at my disposal till 5:30, so there is no issue. Now I think I would seek your permission to
Of course,
leave the meeting.
I really
And
regret. I really
or
regret that.
some other day, whenever you want my uh, participation, I'll be available uh, anytime when you remember me. Uh, so it would be a pleasure to come again on this platform. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Professor.
so
Have
much.
your, enjoy your remaining part of the day. And
Yes, thank you, Professor, and please apologize for that late
no, no,
commencement.
it was within it was within my time limit, so it has not disturbed my program as of now.
Yeah, and really, and of course, we also count. We are so happy to have you that don't take
No, no,
account that you have also.
we will have many more opportunities of
course.
virtual meetings as well as physical meetings, maybe in your country or maybe in our India. Let us hope
Yeah.
the situation will.
I hope so. I hope so.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, sir.
So kindly, Sanija and other staff, I would like to give at least until at least 15 minutes to participants to have a break, because we have 2 long hours without any break, and I can understand that it can be so much for even if it has been really interesting and insightful presentation from Professor Bandhari. I will be eternally grateful to him for his participation and understanding of that day. That day situation. So I would like to suggest to start at 2 p.m. 25 minutes Madrid time. So please check your time, calculate 15 minutes, and we will be back with a very short introduction about by my side, and to have also more comments from the audience. And also I will try to make some comments, unfortunately in absence of Professor Bandahari over his presentation. So see you in 15 minutes, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you, ma'am. I request all the participants to stay in the meeting, or you may rejoin after 15 minutes. Thank you. Antonietta, ma'am, you may start now.
Yes, I'm here, but I think that we should wait 1 minute because I don't see all participants in the room. I just
Okay,
see
sure.
you. Maybe we can wait 2 minutes more, no more of that, because I
Okay.
saw that we missing 10 at least. Thanks.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, I think that we can just start because we have been waiting 2 minutes more. So I think that if people would like to join us soon after, they can do it at any time. If you are agree, we are going to start right now. Sanija, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you. You may start.
Okay, so I think that we can start. We can
Yes,
start
ma'am.
right now. So you are in charge of the records also.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for that. In every case, please check who is asking to be admitted to the room, because I saw in the screen that there is people waiting to be admitted, and unfortunately I can't be I can be in charge of that right now. So welcome back to all. This is our last part of lecture day. I'm extremely grateful to Professor Bahnari for his intervention, generosity and passions. And unfortunately, we have been obliged to start for personal reasons a little bit late. So he had other engagements and he cannot be with us until the end of the day. I will reserve my comments and views about Professor Bahnari intervention at the last in the last part of my short intervention. I will try to be to summarize a few points about emerging issues, but also relevant issues for all in relation to discrimination, prevention of discrimination, and artificial intelligence and human rights impact, possible human rights impact of the use of artificial intelligence that also Professor Bahnari already mentioned. So my contribution today should be around 30 minutes, but as usual, I invite all of you to interrupt me using the microphone and switch on the video at any time for questions, observation, and doubts. I'm also happy to say good afternoon, good morning from to everyone watching on live in Facebook page and who are going to watch the video records after that day. So thank you to the organizing committee to maintain the update of the time also for this. So initially my intervention was I believe that it was easier, but the idea here, as you know, is not easier to to try to find the answer to current global challenges like artificial intelligence is going to generate, and is generating nowadays. So the idea here is in accordance with what with what Professor Bandari said, is to reflect altogether on not just to give offer answer, but to grow up the debate, the discussion, and the reasoning, especially from a legal point of view, but not only, around regulation and impact of the use of artificial intelligence in particular, and the new technologies in general terms. I would like to start about a methodological approach to the analysis of artificial intelligence possible impact on human rights and prevention of discrimination caused by such new technological advancements. That methodological approach is related to use of an integrated legal framework from a human rights and gender perspective. Since we have, as already mentioned by Professor, a common legal framework regulating artificial intelligence at universal level, at international level, what we can do and should do is to use existing legal framework, even though if it is not related, strictly related on artificial intelligence, to try to find a possible way of new legal solution to new challenges posed by artificial intelligence. I don't mention what is artificial intelligence and what is an algorithm here, but it is true that there is because it is there is a clear definition about that, but what is important is to take into account that artificial intelligence in general terms, let me use that those words in general terms, including also algorithm related issues and so on, is a sort of box of Pandora in relation to the impact over human rights and discrimination and the possibility to create and generate discrimination. What is interesting to note, and what defines the emerging issue, which is of course under the attention of many regional organizations, including European Union and the Council of Europe, but not only. I think, for example, the Organization of American States, for example, and which is over the central point of many discussions, including at the G20 meeting under the presidency of the Italian Republic. The point is that if you look at artificial intelligence as a possible pattern or instrument causing discrimination under existing human rights law framework at international level and the regional level, those you will never find any reference, just because, as I said, it is an emerging issue. So for example, the system created under United Nations framework, you don't find the mention in the treaty, the core treaty system, like and especially the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights of 1966, any mention of artificial intelligence as a cause of discrimination. But on the other side, the human rights legal framework is an opportunity to develop a scheme of protection. As Professor Bandari mentioned, he said, and I quote, we need a kind of global jurisprudence. I would like to take to me that expression and use that expression and consider that we must be confident in the possibility that the advancement and the development under case law at the international level it's really possible under the human rights framework. I think, for example, over the Committee on Human Rights, which is the committee of experts, it's an international tribunal, let me use the term, in charge to supervise the respect of civil and political rights as enshrined into the already mentioned Covenant of United Nations on political and civil rights. And of course, that framework of treaty include a clause of non-discrimination. That means that over the two already mentioned treaties, states, parties must guarantee the rights enshrined in the covenant, respecting the principle of non-discrimination based on race, on any kind of discrimination, gender, religion, ethnicity, nationality, and so on. So you see that the new entry, let me use the term, of artificial intelligence in that kind of preventing discrimination to guarantee human rights is really a big challenge. And the most important, the nexus between non-discrimination and human rights effectiveness, which is one of the pillars of the human rights system of protection, as we know under United Nations system. No effectiveness of human rights, of course, is possible without respecting equality, without guaranteeing the effectivity of non-discrimination, not only into the implementation of human rights, but also into the effective access to and enjoyment, effective access and fulfillment, enjoyment of human rights. This is a kind of a methodological approach we should always bear in mind if you would like to have an approach to the study of artificial intelligence over the framework, under the framework of human rights and non-discrimination law. That said, I'm absolutely sure that the cases of, we are watching, we are assisting to a very growing scale of cases of discrimination caused by the use of artificial intelligence and algorithmic system behind many platforms. And practically over the everywhere. It is a very interesting case, for example, well known and diffused by media about the license gave by a credit card system to distinguishing stereotyping between women and men. So accordingly, the credit card system algorithm, the algorithm before behind the credit card system gave full and free open access and use of the credit card to the men instead and not to women, because of a stereotype behind the algorithm. You see, that's one, and that's what happened. Just one case happened in US relating to stereotyping and discrimination. But of course, that's one area of consumer, not just of human rights application. And this is another point. As you already heard, artificial intelligence, and as I just mentioned, artificial intelligence is increasingly considered, and maybe I can say delimited over a consumer perspective. And this is also the case in the framework of European Union in some way. We will see very briefly soon after. Not as an impact over human being. That's the point. When we talk about when we try to reflect about a possible impact of artificial intelligence over human rights, we just switch our mode and change the view about from considering a person as a consumer to be a human being. That's just the point. It's a central point. And possibly it's the next step towards the possibility of to have a more ethical and value-based legal framework, both at regional and international level, also helpful for national, single national countries. So why I say that I strongly believe in international negotiation. I know I'm an optimistic person, especially in a pandemic time, but it's always when we more, I need to be more optimistic in and having optimistic views about about the possible development of international negotiation to resolve global challenges and to have new views. After all, as a well-known Italian filmmaker once said, director Fellini, the more realist person is a visionary. So that's why possibly we should have a vision about how to regulate and in the most human possible way, let me use that expression, artificial intelligence. So despite that, I don't want to make reference to any existing plan, national plan in different countries about the use of technologies in general terms, and in particular of artificial intelligence. As I said, we have no consensus at all at that stage at the international level, but so where I can find the hope at a certain point. So our hope is in the European framework, existing European framework, European Union framework, let me say, and European Union framework related to prevention, discrimination, and gender discrimination, especially. As Professor Bandari mentioned, it can be maybe a point of reference for other experience, and why not also for future global negotiation over a common framework for all at UN level system, for example. Despite of that, we will see that the European Union system is still ongoing in relation to preventing discrimination related to artificial intelligence. But the existing framework, it can also be useful and of course can be updated in relation to give a new answer to new challenges. So just me to let me to give a short introduction to the existing legal framework at the European Union level, especially for who is not so aware about the EU legal system and framework. The European Union, as you know, is composed by 27 now member states, regulated by the Treaty of the European Union and the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union. The last version is the Lisbon Treaty of 2009, entered into force in January 2010. But the centrality of equality between men and women and the issue of prevention, discrimination, guarantee equality, especially in specific sector, has been always central for the European Union. And not only in terms of legal framework, but also in terms of policy, public policy adopted or supported by the European Union at the level of EU member states. In fact, many authors consider the EU gender equality law as one of the most comprehensive set of norms in EU law. And we must divide the applicable norms in primary law and secondary law. What it means? It means that under the EU legal framework, the primary law is related to the norms included into the already mentioned treaties of European Union and European functioning of the Union. Just to understand what is this, the Treaty of the European Union, very quickly and simply, in a simple way. The Treaty of European Union is the legal and the value and principle basis of the system, the legal system, and the functioning, the Treaty of over the functioning is a sort of articulation of the first treaty. So that means that you should consider the both treaties like a unicum. No one, like a unicum in primary legal system into the European Union, framework. Of course, we just found it is sufficient to open the treaty, and you will find that Article 2 of the Treaty of the European Union, the reference to equality between men and women, like one of the values of the European Union. So it should be guaranteed over every sector where European Union has the competence or the concurrent competence to act. But not only in that sense, also member states in their execution of European Union law and policies must guarantee that equality. So you see the binary relationship existing between member states in European Union, and they share the values inside the European Union. And I hope it can be also a recall for European Union states in such a black period we are living now. So let me just to make that reference, because we are increasingly in need of European Union in such hard time. I mean, a more integration at European level. So soon after, you can read at Article 3, paragraph 3rd, sorry, of the same Treaty of the European Union, the reference to the promotion of gender mainstreaming. That means the gender equality, like a goal, like a mission. So gender equality, equality between men and women, value, mission, and Article 8 of the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union mainstreams that principle, that basic pillar of the European Union. So you see the relationship between the norms of the Treaty of the European Union and the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union as articulated and integrated in a unique system. So furthermore, Article 10 of the Treaty of the Functioning of European Union do a sort of articulation of the gender equality, including the fight against sex discrimination. And because Article 19 at the same time of the Treaty of the Functioning of EU lists sex as the protected ground of discrimination under EU law. Of course, the framework at primary level include also the reference to Article 153, paragraph 1 of the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union, and Article 157. But this is the primary law. It's like the constitution in a state. Just let me use that that parallel, that comparison, not because it is useful to compare the European Union system with a national state, but it is maybe an instrument to give an idea how the European Union works, or sometimes doesn't work. The treaties are like can be considered like a constitution. Why? Because they include like at the national level, the values, the principles and the mechanisms to guarantee that. But what is a constitution without a form to implement it? The same, what is a treaty without a form to implement it? If in general terms, a treaty is implemented, an international treaty is implemented at national level in accordance with the Vienna Convention on the Law of the Treaties of 1969, in the case of European Union, we have, I used to say, a more complex, new, innovative and integrated system of implementation, because the same union can adopt secondary measures, legal instruments, offering the possibility to primarily harmonizing the existing rule between states, or harmonizing the new adoption of a new rule in member states, depending of the instrument it is adopted by the European Union to pursue an aim, a goal included into the treaty of into the treaties of the European Union, and depending also from the level of competencies that the European Union has in a single area, especially in the area of non-discrimination law. So concerning the areas of interest for European Union, where primarily it has been considered necessary to take action to prevent non-discrimination, has been, of course, the point of the question of the sector of employment and occupation. So equality between men and women in terms of payment, access to job market, and so on. So this is the primary sector where the European Union tried to regulate the principle of equality. Of course, there's no mention in that sector over the possible impact of artificial intelligence in relation to access to job market, for example, or equal payment between men and women. Why? Because until very recently, we are not using new technology to select personnel for a specific job. But just imagine that you need to have access to a job, and that access is regulated by a special platform based on artificial intelligence, for example, and especially based on an algorithm. It is strictly possible that the stereotyping created by the stereotyping can be applied by that platform. Why? And this is the big issue also also called upon by Professor Bandari, the author of the algorithm is, in my view, the responsible to transmit the human values to the algorithm. So we will just make some reflection about responsibility soon later, but the point is exactly that. And this is currently under the study. This is one of the aspects, central aspects of possible consequences I would like to share with you today, and not only in terms of gender discrimination, but also of ethnic, racial discrimination. Think, for example, those technology using facial recognition. The algorithm behind that kind of technology, if it is prepared with specific data, can be useful or not. Just to remain in terms of let AI a good instrument and not a bad one, like Professor Bandari said. So coming back to the secondary law of European Union in relation to equality between men and women, what is it relevant? And I invite you to make reference also to those directives. The most relevant, applicable, and possibly in need of modification in order to give answer also to possible cases of discrimination created by new technologies and artificial intelligence, especially, are Directives 2006 number 54 and Directive 2004 113. The first one relates to the implementation, of course, of principle of equal opportunities and equal treatment of men and women, and of course is specifically related to labor market. The second one is more related to the supply of goods and services. So to try to prevent discrimination between supply and services. I already said that one of the deficiency, in my view, from a human rights perspective, is that we are still considering the person like a consumer and not like a human being when we talk about preventing discrimination in the use of that technology. And this is possibly more clear in the set of rules applicable in the European Union law, from my perspective, at least. Of course, I just mentioned few secondary applicable instruments guaranteeing prevention of discrimination between men and women, but we have a very big, a very extensive normative framework based on secondary rules. Also in relation to gender equality, just to mention a few applicable. Directive number 9285 including for the first time into the European Union framework the right to an healthy work environment, because the directive is related to the workplace safety, and the directive, a more recent directive, 2019 number 1158, and related to work balance, and directive 79 number 7, you see that we have an historical and more recent legal framework based on secondary rules in the European Union, and that, of course, possible impact of AI in relation to prevention of discrimination can include so many sectors, as we know in our daily life, with no difference from which country you or which part of the world you are coming. Like Professor Bandari very rightly said, the point is that AI poses global challenges, not just problem, global challenges, better said, because it's transnational character, which is of course more evident at regional level, like in the European Union, but not only. So no one of those secondary rules I mentioned make any reference to of course, new technologies and artificial intelligence. But in my view, they can constitute the legal framework that can be updated to be used to prevent possible cases of discrimination over caused by artificial intelligence. And I would like to underline the 2 points. First one, the real high level of engagement of the European Union Commission through studies, negotiations, public debate over the question of regulating artificial intelligence. And the second point is the role of the directive. Just to whom is not aware about what is a directive into the European Union system. Even though the new treaties gave new names, renamed the secondary legal instruments just to be easy to be understood as much as possible. A directive is one of the secondary instruments that the European Union can adopt to implement its aim. The directive is, as the same name says, and very quickly, an indication to member states to take measures to reach a goal. In that case, reach equality between men and women, but freedom to states about how to do it is left about that kind of instrument. And the aim of a directive is to reach as much as possible the harmonization of laws and regulation between member states over a certain goal. To the contrary, a regulation adopted by the European Union means that every member state immediately must execute that norm, the norm contained into the regulation. Sorry. I'm not sure I'm clear on that point, especially to who is not totally aware about how the European Union works actually, I think that no one, included me, knows how the European Union works. But just to have an idea, when you heard that in the European Union, Professor Bandari mentioned the existing legal framework into the European Union over the regulation over the protection related to the protection of data, general protection of data and privacy. But it's a regulation, right? Not a directive. So the difference is that it's really important, because in the case of regulation, you will see a sort of exclusive competence of the European Union to regulate such area. And this is, I take the opportunity to underline the fact that this is a really new, innovative, and possible high level of protection of privacy after the increasing use of internet and technological platform and media and other artificial intelligence systems we are assisting to. And in fact, what I already said, that possibly existing rules at regional level can be used to create a more ample legal framework and to discuss over best practices. But the reference to privacy and the right to privacy put us back on the consideration of person like a consumer instead of a person, a human being. Because also in that case, let me say that, and this is my personal opinion as an observer, an academic observer, the same general the same general data protection, the same rule protected the consumer having access to platform, for example. Does not protect the right to privacy, like in my view, expressly the right of privacy to privacy of the human being, like we know in the human rights framework. At least not expressly. But I repeat, this is my my view of the general data, the general protection, the general data protection rule. In every case, of course, the right to privacy is inevitable to be one of the rights impacted by artificial intelligence. But the question is, and I would like to, I would be very much happy to hear any possible answer by the audience after about that question. So take note of that question. Privacy is the unique right that can be impacted by the use of artificial intelligence. Having in mind the strict level of link existing between the guarantee of principle of equality and effective implementation of human rights, try to have an idea about what kind of what area of rights, what right can be impacted by artificial intelligence, especially in case, for example, of women's rights. But not only, we are assisting, for example, to increasing number of so-called fake news, for example. So the use of the creation of a sort of artificial of an algorithm giving a certain kind of news can, of course, impact rights of other people in terms of not only of privacy, but also in his dignity. Why not? With public offense. And we arrive to another point, the question of limits of human rights, legitimate limits, let me say. So the possible impact, for example, that a declaration over a platform can have over a declaration can have over a person, or even worse, a group or a minority, pose the question of limits to freedom of expression too. So you see that we are really assisting to a future big challenge, and we need to reflect over possibility of impact of human rights, over human rights and discrimination by and the challenges and question posed by artificial intelligence. We are just going ahead over that area and using a perspective in the jure condendo, as you used to say, from who loves so much classical languages like Latin and Greek. So I just saw that we passed the time, unfortunately, and I am going to stop here my intervention. I don't know, our dear organizer said, and I would like to let some minutes to our audience to pose question or observations about or clarification, because I understand that the reference to the European Union system is also quite quite complicated to understand in only a few minutes, especially for who is not aware about the functioning of European Union. So I'm really happy to answer to your doubt and to clarify your doubt by microphone or in the chat box, please. Again, don't have fear. Okay, I will ask you something to you. I will ask you something to you, as I already asked. So, in your idea, which kind, what right can be more impacted by artificial intelligence, in your view? There is a group, certain rights more than others. What is your idea? Yes. Boris, would you like to answer? Can you hear me, Boris? Okay. So I just asking you a general question about what is in your idea and in your reasoning the right or a group of rights that artificial intelligence can impact, the increasing use of artificial intelligence can impact. Yeah, Boris said yes, but they are all human rights. the right to, just to give an example to all of you. Imagine that of course, we are not in need of culture. Nahid said culture, of course. Culture can be, and we will see why, privacy right to employment, freedom of choice, of course. So you see that how many implications can have in terms of impact artificial intelligence if not well regulated and in a shared framework of values and implication. And why I say that? Because remember that in general terms, law needs to prevent the first aim of law in general terms is to prevent a violation or a discrimination or a damage. Unfortunately, we assist both at national and international level to the second use of law to sanctioning a violation or to sanctioning a misconduct or a wrongful act not accordingly to applicable law in general terms, I'm saying. So we must put our effort to strengthen the function of law as a preventive of discrimination in that specific case or impact of human rights. For example, I saw that there are many comments in the chat box, so thank you very much for your interest. And of course, there are many areas of our life impacted, like Boris said, consumer rights, but we are not talking actually to human rights. And I will be very happy to give in another moment differences between consumer rights and human rights. And then Mona Hemieda said she observed that in Facebook application of its social standards, I got many ban and block. I spoke about women rights, even our private groups. So I'm not sure, Mona, I understood your observation. You find any block in relation to talking about women rights? Is it? Please specify, because I'm not sure I really understood what you want to say. Remote application can also impact the right to life, of course, like Angelica said. And we can see that our life is impacted by the recurrent use of new technologies in any way. Of course, a right to equal treatment. But let me just return to the question of culture that has been mentioned by Nahid, maybe. He mentioned the reference to culture, if rightly remember. Yes. Yes, which is a very big topic, because culture is means, I suppose Nahid would like to say that cultural rights, which are many rights, include many aspects of the cultural life. And of course, artificial intelligence can impact the right to express cultural identity, for example, and or in other words, in returning to the fake news, can modify also a culture in some way, but can be also useful to maintain or to redesign the possibility to restore a cultural site, For example, artificial intelligence can be used to programming the reconstruction of a cultural site, important for a specific group, which is part of its identity. So we return into the use or abuse of artificial intelligence. It is a kind of course, as we already said with Professor Bandahari, this is the moment to find the way to give a good regulation to a good use of artificial intelligence. The future is now, not tomorrow. So that pandemic also just gave us the opportunity, or should give us the opportunity, to regulate such a very complex system and really changing system we are everyone using today. So there are other questions in the chat box or other comments from the audience. Any other comments? I saw that you are tired. I understand, because we had a very intensive day today. So let me ask to our organizer, please. Our organizer, I don't know who is behind the cap, because I just know the name of our leading organization of that summer school, and Knowledge Justice. So before to
Ma'am, this is Muskan.
so just sorry, I saw that there are another comments in the chat.
Yes, ma'am.
In writing many stories about Okay, so I just reading before to conclude, just allow me to give an answer to Mona, because it's a very interesting topic. The discrimination and the stereotyping, because it can be related to the kind of access that can be allowed to a platform from a country between another, Mona. Because Mona said when we talk about cases of sexual violence, we try to denounce it in a Facebook. We saw that we found some restriction into use expression or share evidence and so on. This is a very complex case, because what we should verify if it depends from the platform or from the kind of authorization that a single state gave to that platform to act. So Mona, I really happy to give also more comments in private if you want, and to have a further conversation in the next couple of days. Because it's a really complex topic, and we should have more details. But in every case, behind the Facebook, there is a mechanism of the platform, an internal mechanism, because in absence of a legal framework common for all, at the moment in the social media, we are assisting to a sort of code of conduct, internal code of conduct, which is applied in different ways, and in Facebook case in different ways too. Nahid also asked how can we prevent bias for artificial intelligence in order to use it in the correct form. The question is, there is a correct form. Let me answer to that question with a consideration of general terms. I think that there is not an absolute correct form to use artificial intelligence. As we said, behind the artificial intelligence, there is an algorithm, a system of algorithm. So who is the author of that algorithm, in my view, is the first responsible to do not transfer the stereotyping, the discrimination, the violation of a possible violation of a right. Because if a technological instrument for facial recognition make a discrimination based on race, is probably because the algorithm has been created with that element. So what we need is to have more study, like Professor Bandari said, more study, more collection of data, use as much as data possible existing to create the system of artificial intelligence to a specific sector. Because if you use just a few dates, few data, you will find you will necessarily or involuntarily incur in a case of discrimination. It is not intentional always discrimination. In fact, just let me mention that you know that discrimination can be directly or indirectly. And let me put the accent over the indirect discrimination, which is a case of discrimination occurring when apparently a law or a systems of law is neutral. But in a secondary moment can cause or provoke or create situation of discrimination. So there is not a specific way to use that. What we can do is to join our efforts to create as much as possible a shared system of values behind the regulation of artificial intelligence. And one of the possible places of that is also trade negotiation. Not only trade negotiation, but bilateral negotiation, for example, between European Union and the third countries, doesn't matter which one. And even if the negotiation is in a specific sector, the mention to the respect of human rights must always be included. And you know that, especially in trade agreement, we have assisted to a strengthening process of inclusion of human rights, so-called human rights clause inside the trade agreement. That means that business, doesn't matter which kind of business, and enterprises must act and carry out their work of both sides, the European Union and the third country, the third party, in respect of human rights. And this allows us another point, the necessity also to include all stakeholders and also to strengthening partnership between public and private sector to strengthening research and development in relation to artificial intelligence, but in a more human way, in the most human possible way, and the ethical way, of course. So I'm not sure if it's clear. And Angelica asked if we consider the negative implication of artificial intelligence. We are in a position to restrict it. No, in my idea, doesn't matter is not a question, sorry, is not a question to restrict the use of artificial intelligence. We are in need to have the instruments to recognize possible negative implication, as you, Angelica, right said, and to prevent such implication, negative implication, only try to have the positive one. This is one of the difference I used to say between advancement and progress. We can advance altogether. We no way and no line. Every one of us can go ahead, but to go ahead with the effect of science and technologies, technology advancement available for all, we need to progress altogether, not just to advance. It means go ahead in a positive way, in my view. So just let me make that difference, because we need to restore the difference between advancement and progress, which is important for all of us, especially after that black period, which I hope will go definitively to an end soon, caused by the pandemic. So there is another question about our lecture. Okay, so if there is no other question from the audience, and of course I invite our distinguished organizer to share my contact details by, I mean, the email. Of course, I'm also in the WhatsApp group, so you can just send me a message and contact me at any time with your doubts and questions and commentary. I will share with you some material to just update you about what European Union is trying to do about gender equality, which kind of implication can have the artificial intelligence in terms of gender equality according to the European Union legal framework. And saying that, I would like to, before to conclude, if you agree, Muskan.
Yes, ma'am.
Before to conclude, I would like to spend a few words. The first is a sort of clarification about my role at university, because sometimes when we switch from a language to another,
Yes,
we think that it's the same significance, but it's not the case. They are similar.
It was clear. It was easy to understand. It wasn't difficult.
Sorry?
It was easy to understand, and it wasn't difficult for us. We could understand it very clearly.
Yeah, I know. I thank you. I just really doing mention to my role at university, because I said I would like to clarify that. I said that I'm associate professor of law, which is in part true, but associate professor of law in the Spanish system, it means that you are an external expert associated to that to a specific university and the area as a professor. So my primary area is outside. I don't want to say the primary area. I say that both areas, the professional one out to the university and the university, are both my area. So this is just to understand the Spanish, the academic Spanish system. Just a clarification. So this is the first one. The second one is of warm, great. I'm really extremely grateful to Professor Nitesh and Knowledge States to have had that great idea and to be the pillar of the organization inside is I would like to ask to other university participants to not be angry with me if I recognize that the first merit to knowledge is to promote such initiative. But it is true that summer school is the convergence of ideas, values, and efforts of all distinguished colleagues and friends from the fellows university participant universities. I don't want to list all of them in order to not forget, do not forget anyone. But they are from many countries, and I'm really happy to be part of that group. I'm absolutely sure that this is one of the most relevant example of how a crisis, a so terrible crisis like the pandemic, can be an opportunity to strengthen international relations, to give access to education to all, and to be all together united to resolve big challenges. So what I want to underline, and I used to say since I do it always actually, but since the start of that black period of the pandemic, I used to do more than ever to give a positive message to all. No one is alone in that world. Please, to all participants and students, consider that in my view, the best academic campus is the world where we live. So take a moment to observe it, because the world is into the hands of who is able to observe respectfully the world. We are all together on the same planet, so we have all together the same responsibility to take care of it. And I'm absolutely sure that all together we will have always good result. So never refuse to cooperate. Cooperation is fundamental at any level, not just at the academic level. But to cooperate, we must guarantee mutual respect between everyone. So I'm absolutely sure that this is the first initial step of a new world after so black period, obscure period. Because after all, and as I used to mention, the ancient Greek distinguished using the crisis as an opportunity. From the ancient Greek krino or krinomai, that means that you can choose. So we have the choice. Use that pandemic to make a choice, to go ahead together or to return to the past. We are just in the middle. And of course, I will be always available for all of you and support you in your advancement and progress, of course. So thank you very much for your patience today to be with us in that very long day. I'm again really grateful to Professor Brenda Hari to be with us today, and I will see you next time in next opportunity. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this enlightening session. We are really privileged to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for your support all the day and to be available for all exigencies. Thank you to all of you, and thank you especially to Mahak which is not with us, I think, today, but she is behind.
Yes, ma'am. She
So,
is always there
so
behind.
I'm very grateful to her, especially. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am.